She was hiding in my garden. But from what? It was a quiet night in a small town on Earth. The stars were out. The moon was full. And everything felt calm. Until John heard a noise. He was washing dishes in the kitchen when he heard something outside. A soft rustle, like someone was moving in the garden. He turned off the water and listened. There it was again. He slowly walked to the window. When he pulled the curtain back, his eyes narrowed. Someone was in his backyard. John didn't have many neighbors. His house sat at the edge of the town, next to the woods. Only one house stood nearby. And that house had a new neighbor, a young woman who moved in just a few days ago. John squinted. The person in the garden was moving carefully, almost like they were searching for something. The moonlight touched her face. It was her, his new neighbor. But something was strange. She was barefoot. Her eyes were glowing a soft blue, and her hands were digging into the soil like she was desperate. John felt a chill. He stepped outside, slowly and quietly, careful not to scare her. "Hey," he called out. She froze. She didn't run. She didn't scream. She just turned around slowly. And that's when John saw her clearly. Her skin shimmered like it had tiny silver dust in it. Her eyes weren't just blue. They were glowing. And her hair floated a little, even though there was no wind. John felt his heart beat faster. "What are you doing in my garden?" he asked. She looked at him, her face calm, but her eyes full of fear. "I'm sorry," she said softly. Her voice was smooth, almost musical. "I didn't want you to see me." "Then why are you here?" John asked again. She looked down at the ground. "I'm hiding." "Hiding from who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped back and raised her hands. "I'm not here to hurt anyone," she whispered. "Please don't call them." John blinked. "Call who?" "The ones chasing me," she said. John felt a chill run down his spine. He looked around, half expecting someone to jump out of the bushes. "You're scaring me," he said. "I'm scared too," she replied. "But I didn't choose this. I crashed here. And now, they're coming for me." John stared at her. "Crashed? What do you mean? Like a car crash?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "From the sky. From space." John took a step back. "You're telling me you're an alien?" She didn't answer right away. Then she nodded. "I'm not from this planet," she said. "But I look like you, don't I?" John couldn't speak. He just kept staring at her. Was this a dream? A trick? Or was it real? "You have to believe me," she said. "I escaped. They want to take me back. But if they do, I'll never leave alive." John took a deep breath. Everything about this felt wrong, but she didn't look dangerous. She looked tired, sad, scared. "What's your name?" he asked. She paused. "I can't give you my real name. But here, I go by Mira." "Mira," John repeated. "Yes. And you're John, right? I saw your name on the mailbox." He nodded slowly. "So, what were you digging for?" Mira looked at the ground. "A part of my ship. Something small. I buried it here the night I arrived. It's the only way I can call for help." John looked at the fresh dirt she had moved. It didn't look like normal digging. The soil was loose but cold, and there was a soft humming sound coming from under the surface. Mira stepped forward. "Please don't tell anyone. If they find me, they won't just take me. They'll erase me." "Erase you?" She nodded. "My kind isn't supposed to be on this planet. And the ones chasing me, they're not human either. But they look like it." John's head was spinning. He had so many questions. So much didn't make sense. But one thing was clear. She wasn't lying. "Okay," he said quietly. "I won't tell anyone." Her glowing eyes softened. "Thank you. But I need answers," he added. "If I'm going to help you, I need the truth." She nodded again. "Then come back tomorrow night. I'll show you." John looked at her, standing in the moonlight with her silver skin and glowing eyes. She didn't belong here. But something inside him said she wasn't a threat. She was lost. And for some reason, she had chosen his garden to hide in. As she walked away into the shadows, John whispered to himself, "What have I just gotten myself into?" She showed me what was under her skin. John didn't sleep well that night. He kept thinking about Mira. Was she really an alien? Was this a dream? A prank? Or something far more dangerous? When morning came, the garden looked normal again. The hole she had dug was covered, as if nothing happened. But John knew what he had seen. Her glowing eyes, her floating hair, the strange hum coming from the soil. She said she'd explain everything that night. John tried to focus on his daily routine, but he couldn't. His thoughts kept returning to Mira. Who was she? What was she running from? And why did she trust him? That night, John waited in the backyard. The moon was half full, and clouds passed quietly above. He had brought 2 chairs and a blanket. He didn't know why. It just felt right. At exactly midnight, she appeared. One moment she wasn't there. The next, she stepped out from the trees, silent as a shadow. "Mira," John said. She nodded softly, her long cloak flowing behind her. "You came," he said. "I keep my promises," she replied. They sat facing each other, between the roses and the tall grass. Fireflies blinked in the dark, and the wind was calm. "You said you'd show me something," John said carefully. Mira looked into his eyes. "Yes, but once I show you, you can't unsee it. Are you sure you want to know?" John took a deep breath and nodded. "I want to know the truth." She held out her arm. Her skin shimmered. At first, it looked like she was just brushing off some dust. But then, something amazing happened. Her skin opened. Not like a wound. It peeled gently, like a flower unfolding. Underneath, John didn't see blood or bone. He saw metal. Smooth, silver, glowing faintly. Tiny symbols moved across the surface like flowing water. John leaned in, stunned. "You're a machine," he whispered. "No," she said. "I'm not a machine. But my body is built with metal and energy. My kind is part organic, part living code. Like a living robot." "Not quite." Mira smiled softly. "We were created by stars and time, not wires." John didn't understand fully, but he believed her. What he saw was not human. It was something beautiful and strange. "Why are you here?" he asked. "On Earth." Mira looked up at the sky. "I was a prisoner," she said, "not because I did something wrong, but because I knew something. I was part of a resistance." "Resistance?" She nodded. "There's a war happening, John. A secret war between species. The galaxy is not at peace. Some want to control everything. Some want freedom. I was one of the voices who spoke too loudly." John was silent. He had always believed humans were alone. But now, here was a being who looked like a woman but came from stars far away. "I escaped," she said, "but I didn't mean to land here. My ship broke apart in the sky. A piece of it fell into your garden. Is that what you were digging for?" "Yes, it's small, but powerful. It holds a memory crystal. If I can power it again, I can send a signal." "A signal? To your people?" She nodded. "Or to what's left of them." John looked at her arm again. She slowly closed the skin, and it looked human again. Soft, pale, normal. "But someone else is searching for it too," Mira said. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Who?" "The hunters." John frowned. "Hunters. They're not from Earth, but they can change form. They wear human skin like a mask. You won't know until it's too late." John swallowed hard. "They're here, on Earth." She nodded slowly. "I felt one nearby. Yesterday. That's why I was in your garden. I had to move the device. I think they tracked it." John stood up and started pacing. "Why me, Mira?" Why did you trust me?" She looked up at him. "Because your heart is quiet. You don't lie. I've watched your soul. It's kind." He stopped. "You've been watching me." "Only to be sure you were safe," she said. "I couldn't afford another mistake." John sat down again. "So what now?" Mira looked at the rose bush. She reached into the dirt and pulled out a small, glowing cube. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. "This is it," she said. "The memory crystal." The cube floated above her hand for a moment, then sank back down. "I need energy to charge it," she explained. "But nothing on this planet is strong enough. Unless—" "Unless what?" John asked. She hesitated. "Unless I borrow energy from a living soul." John stared. "Like me." "Not your life," she said quickly. "Just a connection. A link. A spark. Will it hurt?" "No, but once the link is made, we'll be connected." John looked into her glowing eyes. "Let's do it," he said. Mira smiled. She placed the cube in his hand. The moment his skin touched it, a soft blue light wrapped around his fingers. Warm. Electric. But not painful. He felt like he was floating, seeing stars, hearing distant voices. Then it stopped. The cube glowed brighter. "It's enough," Mira said. "You've given it life." Suddenly, the garden lights flickered. A strong wind blew through the yard. Mira froze. "They're coming," she whispered. They felt the signal. John stood up, heart pounding. "What do we do?" Mira stepped back. "We hide. Tonight is not the time to fight. Tomorrow, we prepare." She ran toward the trees and vanished in the shadows. John stood alone in his garden, holding a glowing alien cube in his hands, the wind howling around him. He looked up at the sky, and for the first time in his life, he realized Earth was not alone. The night they came for her, the wind didn't stop. It kept blowing through John's backyard long after Mira disappeared into the trees. His hands were still warm from the glowing cube she left behind, now hidden deep in his garden again. But something had changed. The air smelled strange, like metal and smoke. The sky looked darker. Even the moon seemed to shrink behind the clouds. John tried to sleep, but he couldn't. The memory of Mira's silver skin, the floating cube, and her voice whispering, "They're coming," kept playing in his head. By morning, he looked tired, his eyes bloodshot. But nothing strange happened all day. Until the evening. Strangers in the garden. Just before sunset, a black car pulled up outside John's house. That was rare. No one ever visited him. Two people stepped out. Both wore black suits. Clean, perfect, no wrinkles. A tall man and a short woman. They didn't smile. They didn't knock. They walked straight into his garden. John watched them from the window. They stood near the rose bush, the very spot where Mira had buried the cube again. The tall man leaned down and sniffed the flowers. Yes, sniffed them. Then he touched the dirt with one finger, lifted it to his nose, and smiled. John's heart dropped. They weren't normal. He opened his front door. "Hey," he called. "Can I help you?" The two turned to him slowly, too slowly. The woman spoke first. "Sir, we're with the Energy Protection Division. Just doing a routine scan." John blinked. Energy Protection. I've never heard of that. "It's a new department," the man replied with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "We handle unusual signals, electromagnetic waves, satellites. You know, technical stuff." His voice was calm, too calm, like a machine trying to sound human. John kept his face straight. "So why are you in my garden?" The woman stepped forward. "We picked up something strange in this area. Just checking to make sure there's no interference." John forced a small laugh. "Only thing interfering here is you. You didn't ask permission." The tall man tilted his head. "We thought no one would mind." "Well, I do," John said firmly. "Please leave." They didn't move right away. Then the woman gave a tight smile. "Of course. Sorry to bother you." They walked away slowly. As they passed his porch, the man glanced at John's neck and whispered, "She touched you, didn't she?" John's heart stopped. Before he could respond, the man smiled wider and followed the woman into the car. They drove away. John stood frozen for several minutes. The back of his neck tingled where the man had stared. He went inside, locked every door and window, and waited. Mira returns. That night, Mira returned. She appeared near the fence, her long cloak darker than the shadows. John ran to her. "They were here," he said. "Two people, dressed in black. But they weren't people, Mira. They sniffed the flowers like animals." Mira's face went pale. "They are called tracers," she said. "Hunters who can smell tech, especially alien tech. They're very dangerous." "They knew you touched me," John said. Mira stepped closer. "That means they marked you. You're now in their system. They'll keep coming." John sat on the porch step, head in hands. "Why me? I was just living my quiet life. I didn't ask for this." Mira sat beside him. "I didn't ask for it either." He looked at her. Her face was soft, sad, tired. "I'm sorry," she said. "If I leave, they'll stop following you." "No," John said. "If you leave, they'll kill you." She looked surprised. "I'm not letting that happen," he added. Mira blinked, then smiled gently. "You're braver than I thought." "Just stupid, maybe," John shrugged. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Mira said, "There's a way to protect you, but it's risky." "What is it?" "We can bond." "Bond?" She nodded. "It's not like marriage, not romantic. It's spiritual. I leave a part of me inside your mind. That way, I can feel if you're in danger, and you'll feel it too. Like psychic connection." "Yes." John thought for a moment, then stood up. "Do it." "Are you sure?" Mira asked. "Once it's done, it can't be undone." "Yes," he said. "I want to help. I want to understand. I don't want to be afraid anymore." She stood too. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She placed her hand on his forehead. A sudden warmth spread through John's body. He felt like he was floating, falling, flying, all at once. He saw flashes of light, strange languages, memories that weren't his. Then, silence. When he opened his eyes, Mira was looking at him. "It's done," she whispered. "We are linked now." He nodded slowly. He could feel her thoughts near the edge of his mind, like a quiet radio playing softly. A message on the wall. The next morning, John woke up to a sound, a high-pitched beep. He ran to the garden. The rose bush was glowing. Mira was already there, digging again. "The cube is responding," she said quickly. "It received a signal last night." "From who?" She pulled it out. The cube floated above her hand and spun. Then it flashed once, twice, 3 times. Then it projected a small blue hologram into the air. John saw an alien face, beautiful, but full of pain. "Mira," the figure said, "if you receive this, don't come home. The council has fallen. The planet is under control. They are using our kind as energy now. Escape if you can. Live." The image disappeared. Mira's hand shook. "My home is gone." John placed a hand on her shoulder. She looked at him, eyes full of tears. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. She nodded but said nothing. Suddenly, the cube blinked red. "What does that mean?" John asked. "It's warning us," Mira whispered. "They're close, too close." And then they heard it. The sound of footsteps. Dozens, marching, coming from the forest. "What's inside the garden?" The footsteps grew louder. Branches snapped. Leaves rustled. Something, or someone, was coming through the woods behind John's house. Mira grabbed John's arm. "We have to move." Now, but where? He asked. She looked around, then pointed to the old tool shed at the back of the garden. In there. They rushed toward it, ducking behind tall bushes. Inside the wooden shed, it smelled like dust and oil. John hadn't cleaned it in months. He slammed the door shut and held his breath. Through the small window he saw them, dark shadows stepping out of the forest. Not just two, at least 10, all dressed in black. The same smooth suits, same blank faces. The tracers. But these weren't pretending to be friendly this time. They walked slowly, scanning the yard with silver rods that hummed. "They're searching for the signal," Mira whispered. "For the cube." John looked at her. "Can't we destroy it?" She shook her head. "It's alive. It chose to call out. That message yesterday, it triggered the signal. Now they know I'm still here." The shed shook slightly. One of the tracers was walking just outside. John's heart raced. Then a voice spoke, low and metallic. "She is near. I can taste the energy in the air." Mira closed her eyes. Then the tracer said something strange, something cold. "If we cannot find her, burn the garden." John's eyes widened. "They're going to destroy everything." The hidden lock. Just then, Mira reached for the wooden floor of the shed and pressed her hand against the ground. A faint blue line appeared in the wood, shaped like a circle with symbols. "What are you doing?" John whispered. "This shed isn't just a shed," she replied. "You live on top of something ancient, something buried long before humans built towns here." She pressed her hand harder. The circle glowed brighter. And then, see a like. The wooden floor shifted. A small trapdoor opened. Below it, a tunnel. John stared at her. "You knew this was here?" "No," Mira said. "But the cube told me last night. This land isn't just a hiding place. It's a gateway." "To where?" She looked at him. "To the heart of the earth, where my kind once planted a core crystal, something that can wake sleeping stars." Before he could ask more, a flash of orange light lit up the garden. They had set the rose bush on fire. John grabbed the cube from the workbench. "Let's go," he said. They crawled down the tunnel. The trapdoor closed above them, just as smoke began leaking into the shed. Underground secrets. The tunnel was narrow at first, but then it opened into a wider passage. The walls weren't stone. They were metal, smooth and warm to the touch, like it had a pulse. Blue lights lit up as they moved forward. Mira walked with confidence, touching the walls with her fingers, humming softly. "This was built by my ancestors," she said, "long before Earth had cities." "But why here?" John asked. She looked over her shoulder. "Because your planet is special. It holds something other planets don't." "What?" "A heart." John frowned. "A heart." Mira smiled. "Not the kind that beats. The kind that connects. Earth has energy lines beneath its surface, natural power. My people hid a seed here, to grow energy from it if we ever needed help again. And now," Mira grew serious, "now it may be the only thing that can stop the tracers." The core garden. At the end of the tunnel, they entered a chamber. John gasped. It was huge. A glowing underground garden filled the space. Blue vines, crystal trees, and floating flowers swaying in the air. In the center was a massive crystal, shaped like a blooming flower, pulsing with light. "It's beautiful," John whispered. Mira stepped forward. "This is the core garden, the real garden. What's above ground was only a shadow." As she walked closer, the giant crystal opened slightly, like it recognized her. "This responds to my kind," she explained. "But it needs one more thing." "What?" She turned to him. "You." "Me?" "The cube bonded with you. That bond awakened the signal. Now only you can unlock the core fully." John hesitated. "Will it hurt?" Mira shook her head. "No, but it will change you." "How?" "You will hear things, feel things, understand more than a human should, but it won't kill you." John looked at the giant flower-shaped crystal. Then he stepped forward. "Let's do it." He placed his hand on the smooth glowing surface. The memory flood. In an instant, light exploded from the crystal. It wasn't blinding. It was warm, soft. And then, images poured into John's mind. He saw Mira's world, a sky with two suns, cities that floated above oceans, children who laughed with glowing eyes. Then, darkness, ships burning, tracers storming the cities. Silence. He saw the resistance. He saw Mira standing in front of a council, shouting for justice. Then her escape. Then Earth. Then him. He pulled his hand away, gasping. Mira was already beside him, helping him stand. "You saw it," she said softly. "I saw everything. And now the garden knows you," she said. "It accepts you." Suddenly, the vines in the chamber rose. The crystal pulsed. A beam of light shot up through the ceiling. Above ground, the tracers stopped. They looked up at the burning rose bush and saw a thin beam of blue light break through the smoke, shooting into the stars. They screamed. Too late. The earth beneath them cracked. Roots shot out of the ground like tentacles, wrapping around the tracers' legs, arms, bodies. One by one, they were pulled underground, swallowed by the living garden. Below ground, Mira held the cube as it floated higher and higher, now glowing white. John stood beside her. "You saved this place," she said. He shook his head. "We did." She looked at the crystal one more time, then said, "They'll send more." "I know. But we have a chance now," she said, "because this time, they'll meet resistance." John smiled. "Let's give them something to fear. They want her dead, not captured." The garden was quiet again. The fire was gone. The smoke had cleared. But John knew it wasn't over. The tracers were defeated, swallowed by the core garden's power. But Mira was still not safe. She had warned him. They'll send something worse. And now, it was coming. The sky breaks. 2 days later, strange news hit the town. People talked about a satellite that crashed near the forest, just beyond John's backyard. But John had seen the sky that night. He had stood outside, staring up, when the stars began to flicker, one by one, like someone was turning off the lights above Earth. Then, without warning, a streak of red fire shot across the clouds and slammed into the woods. The ground shook. Birds flew in every direction. Animals ran from the trees. But no sound came from the crash itself. No boom. No fire. Just a sudden silence, heavy like a blanket thrown over the planet. John knew what it meant. "The bounty hunter is here," Mira said. The arrival. They found the crash site early the next morning. Mira led the way through the forest, her hood pulled low, eyes scanning every branch, every sound. John followed her, holding a flashlight and a hunting knife. Not that it would help much. When they reached the clearing, they both froze. There, half buried in the earth, was a ship, but not like Mira's smooth silver craft. This one looked like a black stone with claws, sharp edges, red lights pulsing like angry eyes. Even standing still, the ship looked like it wanted to kill. Mira stepped closer. "Do not touch it," she warned. "What is it made of?" John asked. "Bone, metal, and rage." That's when they heard it. A growl. Not from the ship. From the trees. Something tall moved between the trunks. Heavy, slow, breathing loud and deep. And then, it stepped out. John froze. It looked like a man at first, until it opened its mouth. Rows of sharp, silver teeth. Eyes black like oil. Skin that moved like shadows. And on its chest, a glowing mark shaped like a spiral flame. Mira whispered, "Zorak." John asked, "What is it?" She didn't answer, because Zorak raised his arm, and shot a beam of red light toward them. The first battle. Mira grabbed John and rolled him behind a tree. The red beam sliced through two thick trunks, cutting them clean. "He's not a tracer," Mira said. "He's worse." Zorak stepped forward, dragging a long, curved weapon behind him. He didn't speak. He just pointed at Mira. "And charge." Mira stood to face him, both hands glowing with blue energy. She created a shield just in time. The weapon slammed against it with a loud crack. John could barely breathe. This wasn't a fight. It was war. Zorak struck again and again, each hit louder than the last. Mira held the shield, but she was sweating, her arms shaking. "We can't win like this," she said. "We run?" John asked. "No," she said, eyes sharp. "We lead him." "To where?" "To the core." Into the garden again. Mira and John ran. Branches tore at their clothes. Zorak followed, never stopping, never speaking, just hunting. When they reached the old shed, John flung the door open. Mira jumped down into the tunnel. Zorak was close behind. They ran through the underground passage, the walls lighting up as Mira moved. John could feel the core garden calling, its warm energy pulling him forward. They'd reached the main chamber. The glowing crystal still pulsed in the center. The vines moved slowly, sensing Mira's return. "Core," Mira shouted, "defend your chosen." The vines rose. Just as Zorak entered the chamber, roots shot toward him like spears. But Zorak didn't run. He laughed. He raised his hand, and a blast of red fire blew the vines apart. "He's destroying it," John shouted. Mira grabbed the cube and pressed it to her chest. The flower-shaped crystal responded, opening wider, light pouring out. John stepped forward and touched the core again. His body lit up with blue energy. "I'll give it more power," he said. Mira looked at him in fear. "If you give too much, you'll burn." "Then let's burn together," John said. The core exploded with light. John's awakening. John fell to his knees. But he wasn't weak. He felt bigger, brighter. Inside his mind, voices spoke, alien voices. Mira's people. They spoke of stars, time, war, and peace. He understood everything. He stood again, eyes glowing like Mira's. Mira stepped back, shocked. "John, you've become one of us." John didn't answer. He walked toward Zorak. Zorak growled and swung his blade. John raised one hand and caught it midair. The chamber went silent. Then John whispered, "Leave." Zorak snarled, "You are nothing but a human." "Not anymore." John's body pulsed with energy. The core behind him glowed brighter. The ground shook. Zorak looked around, realizing too late, he was no longer the hunter. He was the prey. The garden vines rose again, stronger, sharper. Zorak roared, swung wildly, but the vines wrapped around him, pulling him toward the core. He struggled, screamed, but it was useless. With one last cry, the core swallowed him whole. Gone. Silence. Aftermath. Mira helped John sit down. He looked pale. His hands shook. "You used too much," she whispered. "I had to," he said. "Your body. It's changing." "I know." He looked at his hands. Blue lines now ran through his skin, glowing softly. "You're no longer just Earth," Mira said. "You're something more." John looked up. "Will there be more like him?" She nodded. "Worse ones." "But we'll be ready," John said. Mira looked at him with something new in her eyes. Not fear. Not sadness. Hope. She was ready to sacrifice herself. The chamber was quiet now. The garden vines had returned to their slow, gentle movements. The core pulsed with steady light. And Zorak, the deadly bounty hunter, was gone, swallowed by the ancient power deep beneath the earth. But the silence was not peaceful. It was heavy. John sat with his back against a crystal wall, his hands glowing faintly blue. His human skin had changed. Soft lines of alien energy ran through his veins. He wasn't fully human anymore. And Mira was staring at the core with a hard, distant look in her eyes. He watched her. She looked sad. Too sad. "Something's wrong," he said. Mira didn't speak. She slowly walked toward the glowing heart of the underground garden, the massive crystal that had saved them. Then she placed the cube gently onto the floor, like she was saying goodbye. John stood up quickly. "Mira, what are you doing?" She turned around slowly. Her eyes weren't just glowing. They were shimmering like water. "I need to end this," she said softly. "What are you talking about? We just won." "No, John," she said. "We won one fight. The real war hasn't started yet." John stepped closer. "Then we fight it. Together." Mira looked at him, heartbroken. "They'll send more. Stronger. Smarter. Some will come from space. Others are already here, hiding in human form. And the core, this garden, is a target now. They know it exists. So we protect it." "I can't," Mira said. "But I can hide it." John blinked. "Hide it? How?" She touched the crystal, and it responded by glowing brighter. "I can merge with the core," she said. "Become its guardian. From inside." John froze. "You mean, go inside it?" She nodded. "But if you do that," he whispered, "I won't come back." The hardest choice. John couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You can't do that," he said. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," she replied. "I was made for this. My people planted this core ages ago. They created it with the power to connect galaxies, to grow stars, to restart life. But only if one of us becomes its soul." John shook his head. "No, no way. We've come too far." Mira walked toward him, her face gentle but firm. "I'm tired, John," she said. "I've been running for years. I've lost everyone. My world is gone. My people are scattered. And now I've brought danger to yours. But this is your home now." "No," she said softly. "You are my home." Those words struck his heart like lightning. "You gave me a reason to keep going," Mira said. "But now I have to protect you. And your world. If I bond with the core, I can shield it, hide it again, deep inside the earth. They won't find it. They won't find you." John stepped forward, desperate. "Then let me do it. Let me merge with it." She shook her head. "You're human. The core would destroy you from the inside." "You said I'm not just human anymore." "Not enough," she said. "Not for this." John clenched his fists. "Then we fight together until the end." Mira reached up and touched his cheek. Her hand was warm, soft, real. "I'm already at the end, John. A goodbye beneath the earth." Mira stepped back to the glowing flower-shaped crystal. It opened again, slowly, as if welcoming her home. Blue petals of light reached out, wrapping around her gently. "Mira, please," John begged. "Don't leave me." She smiled through her tears. "I'm not leaving," she said. "I'm becoming something more." The light around her grew stronger. Her feet lifted off the ground. Her body began to glow like the stars John had seen in her memories. The cube floated beside her, spinning. The garden vines rose one last time, saluting their protector. John dropped to his knees, and Mira's final words echoed in the chamber. "We'll meet again, when the stars return." Then the light swallowed her. The core sealed itself shut. The chamber grew quiet. And Mira was gone. 1 week later, the town was quiet again. The forest had returned to normal. The news had forgotten about the satellite crash, and no one asked questions anymore. But John had changed. He no longer felt like a man. He felt like a bridge. Each night, when he touched the old rose bush, the one that had burned, he could feel a soft warmth beneath the soil. She was there, watching, protecting. He didn't know if she could hear him, but he spoke to her anyway. Then one night, a flash of light appeared in the sky. Not fire, not a crash. A clean, soft beam of blue light. It hit the ground right outside John's home. He stepped outside, heart racing. The light faded, and where it had touched the earth, a small flower grew. Not a normal flower, a glowing one. John knelt beside it. And as he touched the petals, he heard a soft voice, not in his ears, but in his heart. "I'm still here." He smiled, then whispered back, "I know. My garden was never just a garden." 1 month passed. John's life had changed forever, yet outside, everything looked the same. The trees still moved gently in the wind. The birds still sang in the morning. Children still laughed in the streets. Neighbors still waved and mowed their lawns. But John was no longer just a man. Not since the night Mira became one with the core. Every night, John sat by the rose bush where it had all begun. The flowers had grown back, taller, brighter, and strangely warm to the touch. They glowed faintly, especially under moonlight. And in his dreams, John saw her, Mira, not standing beside him, but within the garden, her body made of stars, her smile full of peace. Each time, she whispered the same words, "It's not over." John didn't understand. Not yet. The visitor. It was a quiet evening. John was sitting on the porch, reading an old book when the sky changed. It didn't flash or explode. It simply shimmered, like someone had peeled back the sky itself. Then, a beam of soft blue light appeared in the sky. Not shooting down, not crashing, just hovering. Then, slowly, it descended into his garden, right beside the old tool shed. John stood slowly. He didn't run. He knew this was no threat. He walked toward the light, heart steady. The light dimmed, and out stepped a figure. Tall, graceful, clothed in robes of silver and white. Skin glowing faintly, eyes shimmering with the same strange kindness Mira once had. A woman, but not Mira. She looked older, wiser, and when she spoke, her voice was soft like water and deep like the stars. "John," she said, bowing slightly, "I am Elira, elder of the Celestials. Mira was my daughter." John's heart stopped. He could barely breathe. Mira had a mother. "All of us have a beginning," she said, smiling faintly. He stepped closer. "Why are you here?" Elira looked around the garden, touched a rose gently, then said, "Because Mira's signal reached us. After centuries of silence, your bond with her woke the core. It called across the stars." John's voice cracked. "She's gone." "No," Elira said. "She is not gone. She is becoming." "Becoming what?" John sat with Elira on the grass, just like he used to sit with Mira. The garden glowed around them, alive, listening. Elira spoke slowly, like every word carried a world behind it. The core was never just a tool. It was a seed, a piece of something ancient, something meant to connect not just planets, but souls. Mira bonded with it, John said, to protect it. "Yes," Elira said, "but the core has chosen to return the favor." John frowned. "What do you mean?" "She lives, John, not as a person, not as flesh, but as light, energy, voice, root, thought. Her essence is part of this garden, yes, but also beyond it." "Can I speak to her?" "You already have," Elira said gently. "Every dream, every whisper, every moment you felt her near, that was her. She's reaching out." John looked down at his hands. The faint blue lines were still there. Elira continued, "But there's more. Because you touched the core, you're now part of it too. Not like Mira, but enough to be changed, enough to be called." "Called for what?" She stood and looked toward the sky. "To join the Celestials. The invitation. Elira turned back to him. There are others like Mira, others who were hunted, who were lost, who are still hiding. They need help. They need hope. She walked toward the beam of light that had brought her to Earth. Mira's message reached us, but her final gift was you. John stood slowly. You want me to leave Earth. I want you to choose, Elira said. Stay and protect this garden, or come with me and see the stars through Mira's eyes. John looked back at his house, the porch, the trees, the empty window where he once waited for Mira to return. Then he looked at the roses. One of them was glowing brighter than the rest. He touched it. A voice echoed softly in his heart. John, if you come, I'll be there. The decision. Elira waited by the beam of light. John didn't speak. He simply walked back to the house, picked up a small leather bag. Inside it, he placed a photo of Mira, drawn from memory. The cube, now silent and resting. A small vial of garden soil. And a note that read, For whoever finds this place next, take care of the roses. They're watching you. He walked back to the light. Elira smiled. Are you ready? She asked. John looked up. I've been ready since the night she touched my garden. They stepped into the light and vanished. 1 year later, children ran past the garden gate. It had become a place of beauty and mystery. Roses bloomed in every season. The wind always smelled like stars. No one knew who planted the flowers or why the air felt warm even in winter. But sometimes, just sometimes, a visitor would stop, touch a glowing petal, and feel a quiet voice whisper in their mind, You're not alone. Final scene. Among the stars, John stood on the balcony of a massive silver ship floating above a planet with twin suns. He looked out at a sky filled with light, life, and wonder. Mira's voice echoed softly inside him. You found me. He smiled. No, he whispered. You found me. And with that, the ship soared forward into the galaxy, toward the next world that needed saving.